guys, it's Shammy. I decided to make a video today about something that is pretty personal. I told you guys about my experience with the Nexplanon, being off the Nexplanon, and then I discovered that I was pregnant. Yes, it was. It wasn't necessarily something that I was preventing. Because I do want to have another child soon, but I wanted to kind of talk about my experience with the miscarriage. This is my first known miscarriage, and it kind of started with me trying. I was like I said, I wasn't preventing. It was something that I was okay with happening. So I was keeping track of my ovulation days. And I had taken a product called Pink Stork. And it's a fertility candy. So because my cycle ended up being irregular after being off the Nexplanon, it's like, well, this product is supposed to, stabilize my cycle. So I said I would try it out and see what I thought about it, and I did. The candy, it didn't taste bad, so on the package it says you can take 1 to 6 daily. I only did 1 every day for a couple weeks, and I discovered about 3 weeks ago that I was pregnant, and I was really excited. I told all kind of people, it's like, wow, this product actually works, because I was kind of guessing. Like, my Flow app tells me when I'm supposed to ovulate, but that doesn't mean I'm always gonna ovulate then. So yeah. Where I went wrong, though, I think I had consumed alcohol quite a few times, and I was just kind of going about my normal life. I don't drink very often, but when I do enjoy myself in moderation. I don't get to the point of drunk, but a little tipsy or whatever. But I was going about my daily life, and it had been 8 years since I was pregnant. So, like, before I even drink, I would take a pregnancy test just to make sure I wasn't pregnant, and it would always show up negative. So then when it showed up positive, I was like, what? Like, let me tell you, I took a test. It was on the weekend. I took the dog out for a walk. I was like, well, it should be done reading after I walked the dog around the house. We was only outside for about 5 minutes or so. And I come back in, and I'm like, oh yeah, the test. So I go into the bathroom, and I see 2 lines, and I'm like, what? Like, for real? And yeah, so I took another one. I actually taken 2. Both of those were positive. The line was kind of faint, but then the next day I took another one, a more expensive one, and it showed up like definite. And then the day after that I took another one. Like, I believed it, but I didn't believe it at the same time. I mean, I had pregnancy symptoms. My boobs were super sore. I was super nauseous. I never vomited though, but I always felt like I was going to. That week I was constipated. I couldn't get comfortable sleeping, so I didn't sleep a whole lot that week. But I had called and scheduled for my first appointment where they give you another pregnancy test just to verify everything for their records and get you set up for your future appointments and prediction of the birth, the baby's due date and all that stuff. So I I had gotten really excited, and I started telling people, and I told my significant other, and he was really excited because he also wants a child, and this was going to be his first. And then Monday morning, so I found out on a Wednesday, and the following Monday morning I started spotting, and I was like, well, I spotted with my daughter a little bit during the first trimester, so I'm not gonna get too worked up about it, knowing that my appointment was the next day. So then that spotting turned into bleeding, light bleeding, and I was like, okay, I'm still not going to get myself worked up about it because it happens. It's normal in the first trimester. So again, knowing that my appointment was the next day, I worked all throughout the day here at the spa, and I was extremely nauseous. I was doing facials, and I felt like I was going to vomit, and it was horrible. I had super, super, super light cramping. Like, it was so light, I barely felt it. But every once in a while I could. So then I go home and still have light bleeding. I still have really light cramping. I decided I was going to take a pregnancy test, and the lines were faint, and so I was like, okay. So I waited a couple more hours, and I took another one, and it was still faint. So I went from faint to a hard positive to faint, and then I was like, well, I'm going to take a bath because my back is starting to hurt a little bit, and I feel like I need to relax. So I did that, and during my bath, I started bleeding heavier, I guess, and I was passing like pretty large blood clots. I passed 2 that was about the length of my finger. My fingers in the same width, about that much, which is, I thought, a lot for me to just find out that I was pregnant, but I didn't know how far along I was because my cycle was so irregular. So like, my app said that I was 7 weeks pregnant, which is the one that was keeping track of my cycle. But according to when my last cycle was, so that's something I didn't tell you about the, I had a missed period, and then I started taking the fertility candy about a week later, and the day or two after I started taking the candy, I started bleeding, and it was a really weird cycle. It only lasted 3 days, and I had 2 light days and a medium flow day, and that was that. No spotting after or anything like that, and so it was a really weird cycle, but I was like, I don't know, I've been having weird cycles anyway, so maybe this is normal for me right now. I don't know. So yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I was 3 weeks. I don't know if I was 7 weeks, going on 8 weeks. I don't know. But so I didn't know how far along I was. But regardless of that, when I have passed the blood clots, it kind of just clicked. Like, dude, you're having a miscarriage. And then after my bath, I took another test and it said negative. And then the next morning, I said I would take another one, and it was negative. So it kind of just confirmed that, yeah, I did have a miscarriage. And I didn't really know how to feel about it because I had found out just a week before. And then all of a sudden I'm not pregnant. And I don't know, this is something I've been wanting for quite a while. I mean, my daughter is 7 now and she's a big girl. So I feel like if I'm going to have another one, it needs to be around this time, within the year, you know, because I'm ready for another one. Yeah, so I called the nurse and told her everything that happened, and she told me that I needed to go ahead and go through the process and let everything happen, but if I experienced sharp pains or heavier bleeding, that I needed to go to the emergency room. So they scheduled me an appointment for the following Monday, and that was last Monday. So I went in last Monday and they just had me do a pregnancy test, and it was negative, of course. And then they just talked to me about miscarriage, and they told me that 2 and 1 or 1 and 2 pregnancies are usually result in a miscarriage. So she said, since this was your second pregnancy, she was like, I bet your next one you'll be able to carry full term. And she said sometimes the body just doesn't develop the embryo like it's supposed to. It doesn't necessarily mean anything's wrong. She said that if I had 2 or 3 more miscarriages, then they would start doing tests to find out exactly what's going on. But right now she didn't feel like there was much of a reason to, you know, do extensive tests or anything like that. So she told me that I was safe to go ahead and start again if I wanted to. But I don't know, I experienced a wild array of emotions. I was confused. I was upset with myself. I felt like it was my fault because my body wasn't able to carry the baby. And I feel like I'm a pretty healthy person overall. And I was just like, what did I do wrong? And I still question myself sometimes, like, was it the time I had a bunch of cider, hard cider? Was it me dancing too hard? Was it me running? What was it that I did that could have contributed to me losing this fetus? So I was emotional. I was sad for days. Even last week I went through this whole thing. Like it felt like I was depressed, and I was again, like super emotional. Yeah, so I just thought I would share my experience with you guys about, you know, what's been happening with me lately. As far as that goes, I've got stuff to update you guys about work and all that stuff. I feel like I needed to just get everything off my chest because it's something I'm still dealing with inside. And so yes, I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, please.